Today we're going to talk about how to help your trees that have been damaged by serious wind. We just had a lot of effects of Hurricane Irma come through, and there are people who clean up the branches that have been ripped off the trees and call that done. That's, they figure the hurricane has pruned their trees. And you need to follow up in every circumstance. The hurricane does not come through with a chainsaw or a nice handsaw. You need to have clean cuts and you need to remove damaged growth. And so this right here is damage. If you let that stay on the tree, it will rot and it will cause rot to go back into the branch, eventually go down here if it is not taken care of. You got to get rid of it, and that means cutting it out. So you want to cut back to healthy wood. That's the goal. And you need to have very solid wood. If it's showing some splintering or twisting at all in the cut, you need to cut back further. So here we go. And I'll do an undercut. That way you don't cause another problem while you're actually trying to get rid of a problem. And you don't want to strip the bark if it's up. See how that fell off? That's a good indication I'm not going back far enough. But this will at least take the weight off of the branch so that we can see what we're dealing with here. Okay. So right here, this was the top part of the branch where the bark just peeled off, but you can also tell that right here is that bark is coming off too. This, when a branch gets twisted in the wind, there's all sorts of problems. There's, this crack did not just suddenly appear when I was cutting it. It was there before. There's cracks all around in here. So we'll try to cut back to the main branch, but it might not be far enough. But if it isn't, we'll let the tree recover a little bit and then come back and cut it later, further back. Definitely want to get rid of anything like that. It's just a problem in the future. So we will just make a cut here and hope for the best. Okay, so this was the first cut that we did, and you see how that bark is not attached. That was from the wind, and so this is the cut I just did, and that looks nice and solid all the way around. So I think we lucked out. I think that was enough. So anyway, remember, cut back to healthy stuff when you're trimming the rips, and also unhealthy situations like that wind twisting kind of thing. On to our next one. So as you're walking around your yard, try and see where branches came from. If this branch is stuck in this tree, it didn't come off cleanly. This is a rip. So if this side is ripped, the side that is still left on the tree is also ripped. So part of what you should be doing, if at all possible, is to find the places that branches were ripped from and cut them off. A flat cut is what heals them best. This one I think was ripped off from over here. Might have been another one. It's hard to say, but basically when you find something that is jagged, try to cut it off. The flat surfaces heal much better, and if you leave a ragged one, it will just rot into the tree. I think I'm going to show you a bigger situation, older situation of that. So here's what rips look like on big trees. This is a very old Hayden tree, and this was actually a young branch from an old Hayden tree going straight up, and it just had like a 4-foot tear down where the rest of the branch was on the ground. We've carted off most of that stuff already. So anyway, you have this situation on a tree. Make sure that you cut back to healthy wood. You don't want to leave an area for bugs or rot to get in. So there's a large branch that came down from the main trunk, and this was the largest. We had 2 major branches, but this was by far the most major. And you can tell this is very healthy wood. No problem with either branch. Nice and healthy. Why did it come down? Because where it attached to the trunk was rotten in the center. The outside was pretty good, at least on this side. Over here is a little bit more of a problem. But with enough wind pressure, it was enough to just take this whole slab off of the trunk, along with this like a 15-foot branch. So anyway, it's very important wherever you have problems with the trees to cut back to healthy wood. Now the part that's left on the tree, of course, we're going to need to cut that back. And I don't know if it's going to be a few feet below where we see the rot right now, or if we're going to have to keep going. We'll have to, make a cut where we think healthy wood will be. If that's not good enough, we go lower. So anyway, look for healthy wood on these cuts. So here's another situation with a mango tree. This one had a lot of ripped branches. Right here is a ripped branch. There's other ones on other parts of the tree. So we had to pull those branches out, and this is actually most of one of those branches, and we're using it right now to provide shade for these branches, the tops of these branches, because the sun is still darn hot and bright here in September. So you need to protect those branches. Bark will sunburn, and causes damage that can't be reversed. So either provide shade in some way, using leaves on branches or screening, anything that you can think of, or you can paint the top sides of these branches with white latex paint. Either method works. So that's first aid for sunburn. So here's a young mango tree that was knocked over probably yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening. So it's probably less than a day that it's been on its side. We don't really know how much the roots were affected by this. We know that we've got to do something about this tree. We'll have to assume that at least some of the roots were lost. So what I do in this situation is trim back the tree as much as possible. You want to keep some leaves on, but you want to decrease the demand that the canopy has on the root system. If you lose some of the roots, you want to balance that out with losing some of the canopy. And so we'll just cut this back. Split your branches. This is susceptible to sunburn. Just put them right on top of there until you get back to it. There's so much to do that we don't know exactly when we're going to get to this particular plant. So this is going to buy us some time. the plant healthy and active, and then we'll figure out how to brace it, put it back up and brace it. One word of caution: when you put off projects like this, you say, I'll come back and prop it up and brace it. You really have to do that before it develops new roots, because that's another situation entirely. If you have a ton of work to do and then you come back and try and prop up a tree and it's already formed roots in that other position, it's just doesn't work very well. So anyway, try and get back to these kinds of situations within 2 or 3 weeks anyway. Sooner the better, but we don't live in an ideal world, so we just have to work with realities. But definitely take off the young growth. Okay, so we're done here. We'll come back another day and fix that. Let's go. So here's our Caimito or star apple tree. Very popular fruit lately. We've got a lot of customers enthusiastically looking forward to February or March when we normally get this fruit. Unfortunately, it was hit hard by Irma. We've got roots coming out of the ground. This is major. A whole family of something could live under there. So anyway, this is well beyond a handsaw, at least how I am able to handsaw something. So we need to come back to this tree tomorrow with a chainsaw to get as much of the tree, the wood of the tree, out of there, reduce the demand on whatever roots that are left here. So we'll probably cut like this branch out, this one out, just look for big branches. There's a bunch of stuff over here. We've got to cut it back and try to save the tree. We'll get some heavy equipment in. It looks like these leaves are dead, but it's actually the brown or golden brown underside of the leaf. The top side is just facing down because this has been tipped over. So it's green here. So anyway, we've got some work to do in order to try and save this tree. So here's another situation. We didn't get around to trimming everything, and Jaboticaba was one of the plants that we did not trim before Irma hit. This one is smaller, it did fine, but the one next door, this Jaboticaba toppled over. At least one of the roots has been snapped. So what our job today is to reduce the canopy, and the best strategy for Jaboticaba is to take out whole branches. This is a fairly slow growing plant, and so you want to take as much as possible out, reduce the demand on the roots, and also when you take full branches out, it will make the fruit picking easier when you do eventually get fruit again. So what I'm going to do is just balancing. So this is what I mean by taking out the whole branch, cutting it back as much as possible. So I'll come back and do more of this later on today before it gets dark. But basically I want to take out close to half of these branches, because not only does the tree need to recover because it doesn't have as much roots to support the canopy, but it will also make it less susceptible to wind for a while. If you take out all those branches, it's not going to be quite as dense of a canopy. So anyway, we've got to be ruthless here. We want to save the tree, and we want the tree to be healthy going forward. So here's black sapote. I've noticed like a few fruit that got knocked down from Irma, but not too much. It's holding hundreds of fruit on this small tree. I know that whenever we've had a significant wind event in the past, that a lot of the branches have gotten broken or stressed, and they just never regain their vigor. So if you have a black sapote tree or any tree that is holding on to a lot of fruit through a wind event, you have to get a ladder out or climb the tree and look for these branches that have been damaged by the wind. Again, you cut back till you get to healthy wood. I know that there's fruit hanging there at the other end of the branch, but you gotta be strong. Got to cut the branch off, and so the tree can remain healthy, and you will have other fruit on other parts of the tree, and if not, there will be other years and you will have fruit then. So anyway, be bold, cut back to healthy wood. So we were just driving past, noticed this, drooping leaves, and we see the undersides of the leaves. This is not good news for that particular branch. There's been a break in the tree somewhere. So we've got to go in and see where that branch is broken and then figure out what to do about it. Okay, here's the break. This is easy to find from this angle. I guess in the world of bones, this would be called a compound fracture instead of a simple break. It's not an easy wound to deal with. Basically, if we just cut off this branch, we still have all this damaged tissue here. So what we're going to do is cut off this branch, take the weight off of this particular side. We'll have to cut off the top of this also to take the weight off, and then make our finished cut down here. So it's the only chance for a healthy future for this particular instance. There's probably some fruit on this. We'll find that when we pull that branch out. Sort of looks a little different now. Another branch there. Hold on. Should have caught that one up earlier. this latex that's leaking out of the wound. Very sticky kind of wood to deal with. Sort of gunks up the saw a little bit, but I think we're close to being through. There we go. One drippy mess. Oh, let's go back and see if we have fruit on this other branch that made it more susceptible to the wind. Little fruit here. Possible that will ripen up. We'll have to see. So at least here, wind damage happens. It sometimes doesn't happen for a while and it lulls you into a false sense of security. But basically, try and be proactive with keeping your trees compact, short. They're less vulnerable to wind, but wind damage just happens. And so you get into situations where a tree is toppled or limbs are damaged by the wind, and you need to take action. So I hope this video has helped in providing some strategies for different situations. Good luck to you.